for people that are struggling, that have struggled, that just want to, like, hear you talk about it. What have you found in all the years of going through this on both sides of the coin? What do you think is the most important messages to get out there?
Well, I think like in the beginning, it's going to be some of the stuff that I just stated. I think for me in my stages of recovery and really entering into that process was I had to be 100% honest with myself. I had to be
Mm.
100% open. I had to be 100% willing. Because look, the best of my decision makings weren't working anymore, and I needed to be in a place where I was able to take direction.
Mm.
And so I think, for me, that was one of the biggest things is just being open and honest. And I think for those that are struggling out there, I think the important thing is you're not alone. I think when you look at this, I mean, look, addiction is the leading cause of death in America for 50-year-old individuals and younger. I mean, this is something that we've a lot of people struggle with, and through hard work and dedication, you can get through the other end. And I even think for people that have the stigma or it's changed and a lot more people are open to the conversating around it, but there still is stigma around addiction, as people struggle with that. I think, people need to understand there's no such thing as recreational use of heroin. There's no such thing as recreational use of meth or, drinking a bottle of vodka or doing what these people have to go through. So I think it's really important for people to understand that, look, this is a disease. It's primary, it's chronic, it's progressive, and it's fatal if it's untreated. And look at what it's done to our society, and just look how many people are struggling with it. And so, again, there's so much to talk about on it, but again, as if people are in it right now, I think the best thing that you can do is open up and talk to somebody about it, and ask for guidance, ask for direction. And I think that's the thing too, is so many people have struggled with it that it's like even when I'm out and I'm having a conversation with somebody, just talking about sobriety or my recovery or something that I'm involved in or I'm doing, they're like, "Oh my God, no, my brother's in recovery right now. Like, do you have any insight?" Like, it's just amazing how much more open
Yeah.
people are coming around it. So I think starting the conversation, I think that's really important as a talking point.
How would you say that people know that they have a problem? Like, does it have to be that you're blacking out or you can't parent or you're not showing up? Or is it like, enough is enough and too much is too much? Like, how would you categorize that?
So when I talk to people now, I'm not like, I don't ask them like, "Hey, are you an alcoholic?" or "Hey, are you an addict?" I look at them and I have them, process one really important question. And it could be with drugs, it could be with alcohol, it could be with work, it could be with relationships, whatever it may be. I say, "Hey, look, I want you to think about this and ask yourself, is this adding or subtracting from this one life that you have to live?" And I want you to sit with it. I don't want an answer right now. I want you to literally process that. And then you come back and tell me if that's something that you honestly can say that it's adding to your life, or if it's subtracting. And 99% of the time when I'm having a conversation around somebody that is struggling, they come back and they go, "This is obviously not adding to my life," because it could be, there's so many different types of alcoholics. And there's so many different types of addicts. I know people that drink once a year and they could be qualified as an alcoholic. It's because it's not what they're consuming. It's not how much they're consuming. It's what it does to them when they drink.
Mm.
And so it's there's so many different layers to this. It's such a multifaceted thing. And again, it's because people can quantify, like, I don't get in trouble by the law. I only drink, three, a few drinks here or there, but it's more of what is it doing to you? And that's the way I look at it. You know what I mean? Because there's a social norm around it. And I'm not somebody that's against people that can enjoy themselves. My wife drinks, you know what I mean? But
Mm.
it's also, it doesn't debilitate her life in any way, shape, or form. And I also think people that don't struggle, like when I met my wife, as a prime example of somebody that has no dependency on alcohol. She's like, "I'm just going to stop drinking for a year to support you." Like, that's what a normal person should be able to do. It's they
Mhm.
could take it or leave it. But again, mass media and the way that we culture looks at things, and obviously it's work because they associate having fun and everything is around having drinks and things like that, which unfortunately it's not the truth. You can have a pretty incredible life without it.
Yeah. So, I mean, in my experience, I have found that there are things that prevent you from being able to function properly. And it doesn't actually, like you're saying, doesn't have to be drinking excessively or whatever, but I had a conversation with you maybe 4 years ago now, where I was at a point where I had lost all sense of self. I did not know where I was going. I was depressed. I needed help, and I didn't know what kind of help I needed. And you helped me get into the meadows. And it wasn't because of substance, it was because I was dealing with like, um, almost like a midlife crisis, but because of so much PTSD I had from different experiences I had had that I hadn't dealt with. And so I kind of want to talk about that, like mental health for a second, because people can get to a point where they're not necessarily abusing, but they're like making choices that are just not conducive to living a happy life. And I got to that point, and you were the one who kind of were the, gave me a lift up. And I think after that, it's up to you to continue to make those decisions or take the tools that you get and figure it out. But I just want to also be clear, it doesn't have to be, we're not just talking about people that are cocaine addicts, heroin addicts, alcoholics. It's for people that can't function because something is going on and they're not on the right path. Do you agree with that?
Well, 100%. I mean, mental health is a very debilitating, place to be, especially when you're struggling with things. And I was actually going to kind of flip the script maybe from a high level and see if, you wanted to maybe bullet point some of those things that you were going through to bring context and light to this because
Yeah.
like you're saying, like, I mean, whether it's alcohol for me or whether it's, emotional stuff for you, it kind of same painting, different colors. You're in a place where we're at the same spot of loss of direction, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and we're at a place of of losing ourselves. And so I was thinking maybe you could even, share just a little bit on that, and we can talk about that.
Yeah, but just while I'm thinking about it, it all comes back to what happened or what are you going through that you're not dealing with that's making you feel these ways or making you act out in a certain way. And I hadn't, at that point, it was like 2019. I had just closed my business, which was a huge sense of my identity. I was having a very hard time, like figuring out how to get over a stigma that I had with my name for many years. And I could not find my way. I just was really having a hard time, following through, making decisions. And so my point is that because I hadn't dealt with things that had happened years before, I think it was preventing me from living in the present and figuring out how to walk into my future in a very clean, clear-headed way. And you get to a point, and I can attest because I was there those days with you on the call, like, Jason, I don't know what to do. Like, it's bringing me to tears. I don't know what to do. I need you because if I don't have you, I'm going to sit here and like just deteriorate. And I wasn't necessarily, I mean, I may have been, I think I might have gotten to the point where I didn't know any other option. I was like, why am I even here? And I needed that like hand to hold and someone to be like, okay, this is normal. You can get out of it, but like you need a little help, and that's okay to get help. And I think there was a lot of shame that went with it and just not understanding. And I think that's like normal. People need to know that's normal.
No, I mean, I think the biggest thing that you're touching on too, and is when you by expressing vulnerability, it creates humility, right? And so when you opened up and when you started to share those types of things with me, it allotted me to be able to remind me where some of the things that I've gone through and to create that sense of connectivity with you to know that you're in a safe place and that there is a way out. And
Yeah.
we get lost, I mean, it doesn't matter if we're 12, 13, 35, 40, 60 or 65. I mean, it's people go through different scenarios and different stages of life, and things happen. And so I think like with what you're talking about though, what I'm taking away from it, like one of the biggest things for you to get you to a place to be able to get guidance and direction and the help that you needed was you opened up about it.